Hey everybody. Well, today we're going to take a look at the differences between the 2012 UCS R2-D2 from LEGO versus the brand new 2021 LEGO UCS model, which just came out on May 1st of 2021. So they look very similar, as you can see just from looking at them from a distance. They're about the same height, the same width, but this one has a lot of improvements over the old model, but they're still both really cool. Starting with the plaques here, the information on both of these is exactly the same, so they say the same thing. They just have a different picture on them. And then you can see the two different R2-D2s. So the one on the left there is the one that was from 2012. You can see how he looks a little different, but he hasn't really changed much. And I mean, there's a little bit of difference, and that's the new one. And both of them do not have printing on the back. The new 2021 has this special 50-year anniversary of Lucasfilm Limited, and a lot of collectors wanted that piece. Now, starting on the front here, most people would just kind of have a casual glance and say they look both the same, but immediately you can tell that on the head here, there's a lot of little studs showing here on the original, and then on the new one, they've definitely smoothed things down a lot. It still has that layered look, though. You know how there's like steps going on up here, and they still had to kind of do that with this one. But overall, the look of it is nicer. He has a bigger red eye in the middle versus the original, which has a smaller one. And you can see that there is actually a lens in the holographic projector, while this one just has that little piece there. The little logic lights are clear on this one, and this one they're kind of a smaller opening, but there is some blue pieces back there. So if a light was in there, they would actually show blue. Now both of their heads do turn, and they have very smooth mechanisms in there for both of these. So they kept that feature in there. This one does have more of a slot showing where the data slot is. Now they both have the same opening arms here. Let's see, this one goes this way. So you can kind of open both of these. Actually, here, I should have opened this one first. So this one here and this one. There's just a slight bit of difference in the detailing for the inside. So the original one, I think, actually had a little more interesting detail than the original, which you can see here. And then the detail on this is about the same as what they did on the original, just kind of different colors, but overall that's still the same. The other thing that's interesting is these vents. Now the vents on the original were kind of, oval shaped like this, and then on this one they're more kind of oval but up and down like in a vertical way, and this actually is more accurate because R2's vents are more oval like that. But the difference is this one here, let me see if I can get a side view. See how much that sticks out? It really sticks out kind of oddly, actually. That's on the new one, and on the original one here, it's not quite as bad. And this actually looks more accurate. R2's vents don't stick out like that so much. These are the coin slots here. On the 2012 version, they only put 5 on here, but there should be 6. And they did correct that on the newer version. And then here, this was actually just a single piece that you could put in here. And you didn't have to really build anything with it. But on the newer version, you actually build a new, it's like a brick built piece, which was kind of cool. And then the coin slot here, and then the coin slot there. So yeah, I mean, it's virtually the same as far as certain things. It's just really slight subtle changes on here. On his feet, the original 2012 had these darker cables, and then the newer one has the same cable pieces, they're just in a gold color. And R2 had those braided cables down there. The middle foot, I mean, they're both kind of looking the same. I mean, very subtle changes. They still have the little vent things going on down here. There's just a little more on this one. All right, let's take a look at the side of them. I forgot to mention that on the battery boxes down here, there are 2 of these things right here. That's how it's supposed to be. So the original version of this got that right. But on the new one, they actually only have 1 down there, which is kind of odd. I'm not sure why they decided not to do that, because that's actually inaccurate. So yeah, that was one thing that the original has over the new one. Okay, so looking at them from the side here, we can see they're about the same height. And they're, they're kind of the same, really, when you kind of look at them. I mean, there's subtle differences, once again, with the legs. Now, like I mentioned in my video review of the original 2012 set, I did modify this so that the bolts were on the front, because I think that was more accurate. They did correct it on the new 2021 version, which is good that they did that. Now, you can see here, the way this was built, it's just kind of like those pieces versus this piece. which was actually just a piece in itself. You didn't have to build that part. And then this detail down here is pretty much the same as the original. They just made these lighter blue down here for the grills, while these are the same dark color. This part here is pretty much the same, just the little different pieces, but it still has the same curvature. And those little pistons, or whatever those are, they're slightly different. And then the feet themselves look pretty good. I will say that the cables on this pop off really easy from the battery box, and on this one they did fix it so that they don't pop off as easily. So that's a good thing there. Now the backs of these two R2-D2s is definitely different. I mean, you can see that they're completely different, really. So the first thing you're going to notice is all the kind of indentation going on this one. And on this one it's much smoother, which I think looks better. You still got the two little control knobs for the arms, the little utility arms in the front. And this one has the same, but they work differently. This one you turn to make them come out. These ones you just push them in. Down here is that same piece again, and then over here is that other brick built part. And then the battery boxes are a little bit, well, they're definitely wider on the original. See how much wider they are versus this one where they're much thinner. So I would say the original looks a little bit thick now that I'm looking at them. They look pretty thick actually, but everything else looks kind of the same as far as the foot goes. So yeah, not too much difference. Well, at least in the feet. So looking at the head detail now, so if we turn his head this way and this one, so they look pretty much the same with the same kind of square little panels there, but you'll notice on the original 2012 version, they put these little light blue pieces in there to kind of highlight the iridescence of R2-D2's paint job on the blue, and they decided to forego that on this one. And then on the back here, that's how it looked on the original, and that's a much smaller light right there. And on this one it's way bigger, and they put another lens inside that versus this one, which doesn't have that. The logic lights here look pretty much the same on both sets. I mean, they're virtually identical. And then this side here, let me see. Yeah, there's not much going on here. There is one gray strip that comes down here that breaks that up a little bit. So yeah, I mean, it's just very subtle changes once again for both of those. The tops of the head definitely look way different because of the studded look of the original, which I was never really a fan of, but you know, at the time, it was 9 years ago, it was, you know, I guess the best they could do. So you can really see how this new one is definitely smoothed down. But I think some of these pieces they did have back then, so I'm not sure why they chose not to use them, but maybe they didn't have them in that color, so I'm not really sure. Now this head on the original 2012 version doesn't have any function, while this one here, as I show in the review of this new 2012 set, but you can actually take this little piece off. And on the inside of here is Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, which you can actually take out of here. And I showed this in the review. But yeah, they have Luke Skywalker's lightsaber in there. And so that's kind of cool that they actually added that feature. And this panel is very well hidden. And over here, you got the little periscope thing that stuck up here. So you have two cool features in the head that were not present in the 2012 version. So I really like that they did a little bit of an upgrade there. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Now the biggest change between these is the way that the middle leg is retracted and comes out. This is the original one, and this one was always a little bit troublesome for me. Let me see if I can, so he'll bring his legs forward here, and then there's the little switch on the back, if you'll recall, back here. So I never can figure out how this works exactly, but let me see. You push his leg up. See, now it's in the locked position, so you have to flip that knob, and then you can put it up there. But it doesn't seem to stay up unless I, oh, well, there we go. So it clicked. So, I mean, it's working a little better the more I use it. And then you push the switch up. Let's see, is it up or down? Let's see, I can't remember. Well, see, this is what I mean. It's like you can hear it clicking in there, but it's not. Yeah, it's just a finicky mechanism in here. I mean, really can't get this to work very well. And I've seen other people struggle with this feature too. That was one thing that I thought could have definitely been improved on this. On this one, as I showed in the review, this one's way better because it's just all mechanical on the inside. You put it like this. There's a mechanism on the inside that actually, it's like a switch that flicks and then it locks in place like that. And then all you got to do is bring his body forward and it automatically drops out. I mean, it is so easy and simple and way better than this one. I mean, this thing is always a big fight and I can never tell which way to flip this switch or make it work. Yeah, I mean, I can't even get it to come out now. And half the time I usually couldn't get it to stay up in the body like that. So a huge improvement on the leg mechanism for this one. So I guess the big question is, if you have the original R2, is it worth getting the new one that just came out? And I don't know, that's a tough question to answer. For me personally, I absolutely love R2-D2 and robots, as you all know. And so I definitely wanted to have both versions just to kind of see them side by side. But there's really not a huge difference between the original and the old. I mean, he definitely looks better, much more smooth. The body's more rounded out. And appearance-wise, he looks really good. I also like that the mechanism for the leg is better, and that he's got the two little features in his head of the little radar scope and Luke's lightsaber in there, which is really cool. So if you don't have the original, I would definitely say get this one for sure, because these guys go for about $400, brand new in the box. And you can buy used ones too, but who knows if all the pieces are there. But yeah, $200 for this guy. And I don't know. I'd say, I don't know, it's definitely going to be a decision that you make if you really want it. I think a lot of people probably passed on the new one who had this one because they are, you know, pretty much the same. But I don't know. I think they're both cool and I like them both. And I'm glad I got them both. But I think if I had missed out on this one, I definitely would have gotten that one for sure. So anyway, so yeah, that's the comparison between these two, and I hope you found it helpful. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I very much appreciate it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe too. I'd very much appreciate that. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video, and have a good one.